It's Wednesday, and I'm excited to be here, as I am always excited to be here, because this is what I do. I go on social media to talk to you. This is Ask a Traffic Cop. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I am here to answer your traffic and police questions for an hour. About 35 minutes into the show, we are going to be joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. He's the radio guy, talks to people in Toronto, and we talk to his people while he is heard by us. Now, today is unique. About 2 weeks ago, Zombie, a regular listener, viewer, participant in the show, sent me a video clip as an intro and said, I made you an intro. Would you please use it? And I said yes. And then I continuously forgot to put it into the show. So I have an intro for the intro. Rolling clip. And that's awesome. Okay. I'm sorry it took so long to use it, but I used it. See, I did it. That was awesome. Thank you to Zombie for taking the time to produce that. Hey, listen, if you're an artist, a videographer, a musician, and you want to make something for the show, we'll use it. We appreciate that you appreciate and thus would like to utilize stuff that you make. Stuff and things that you make is cool. Greetings to Akela Draconis, who was the first one in the chat. At 2 minutes, 37 seconds after the show was supposed to have started, but we were behind schedule because I was looking for a lens cloth. Yes, I wanted to make sure things were clean. Tim Shallow, good morning. How are you? Michael H. with good morning. And yes, the Akela Draconis message, which was sent twice. It's so good to see you. It doesn't look like TikTok integration is working again. It's all set up, but I see Har Mighty, who put in a wave on the TikTok, but I don't see it coming through. So we'll be taking it slow again. It is okay. We're cool with that. We can do that. Let me just see here. I'm going to put the live stream on my phone so I can possibly be more efficient with the whole self-moderating, because unfortunately JD is still off with a sore back, as far as I know, and I'm here, and we're rolling solo. We got Valerie, who waved with a good morning. Emma Carroll says good morning. Kim Longmire says good morning, or at least waves. We're just doing emojis this morning. If you would like to ask questions, well, there are lots of ways to do that, some more efficient than others. If you're on TikTok, well, I'm trying to self-moderate here. We'll do our best. But if you want to make sure that your questions and comments are on screen, you can jump over to it's Traffic Cop, youtube.trafficcop.ca. Or just go to trafficcop.ca. That goes to my link tree, and that'll take you to any one of the other platforms that we're on. Of course, YouTube just works. Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, they work too. We're on the platform formerly known as Twitter. However, no integration there, so don't ask questions on Twitter. We won't answer. It is a good replay platform. Harmighty says, too early for words. Need my second coffee for... Ooh, second coffee sounds like a good plan. Let's see what's cooking here. I got to put my, okay. What can I talk about today? Well, let's start off with Vision Zero in enforcement. We'll talk about that. Oh, JC says hand pink waving. But unfortunately, when he put that on YouTube, the hand pink waving came through his text describing the emoji. Good morning to you, JC. All right, let's talk about Vision Zero, because that's something we're all about. Oh, yes. And we've also been putting out some great. Maybe I'll play this clip a little bit into the show. We have some drop it and drive messaging talking about the impaired driving stuff and things. We don't want people to be driving while under the influence. Here we go. Let's talk about Vision Zero first, because that is where we start our business. Vision Zero is a group of officers who are focused on the big four. They go out and issue tickets trying to change driver behavior every single time. Yeah, they're looking for people who are speeding, driving aggressively, driving distracted, or driving impaired. And oddly enough, there's a lot of people that need attention and need to have their behavior modified. One ticket at a time. It's education through enforcement. See, I'm the education guy. I talk about all this stuff. I'm on social media every day trying to get the word out that y'all shouldn't be doing things that are illegal, because if they're illegal, it's probably for a good reason, like it's unsafe, just maybe. So they go out and they get to the folks who don't get the message or don't follow and subscribe. So by the way, if you don't follow or subscribe, please, resolve that issue by hitting follow on whatever platform you're on, or subscribe, or like, or share. Share is a big one. Telling other people that we are worth watching goes a long, long way. Okay. JJ says, good morning. Wants to know what my thoughts are on people using Waze to detect police, where police are placed. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know what the X is. This is a red ribbon. It's upside down. It's a red ribbon pin. We'll talk about that in a few. But that was a Michael comment. Sean has a red X. What for? Okay. So the question about Waze, knowing where police are. Is it a thing that we worry about? Well, it's not illegal. It's not the same thing as having a radar detector in your vehicle. It's not the same thing as getting up-to-the-minute radar enforcement notifications. It's about telling people where police are. That might make them change their behavior, yes, but it also keeps us safe by telling people that, maybe you should take a different route because we're doing something here that is, a collision investigation. We're working on the road. If we're visible for enforcement, we're probably going to move when we see those. I will say this. I was honored to have been recognized by Waze as a police officer doing enforcement. It's also a good indicator for me to move. When I see, because I watch myself when I was on the road, I would get notified. Police up ahead, I'd change, because now that I've made it to the big time, I got to relocate. But that's another thing. No issue with it. No legal issue, and there's no guarantee that we're even conducting speed enforcement. So there's all positives, I think. Chase loves the intro. And you know what the sad thing is? Zombie's not here to have watched it. So we'll have to message her on our Telegram group to let her know that I finally made good on my commitment to posting it. Let's see here. We got the sidebar here about my pin. Yes, I've resolved it. It's no longer sideways. It's got a life of its own. Red Ribbon Campaign is all about acknowledging that we're in the holiday season. And do I have a red ribbon here? I got them on my microphone, actually. There's my red ribbons. Red Ribbon is a great campaign. And this year and many years prior to this year, MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, have gone in partnership with TTC and have posted or put on the back of buses pictures of people who were killed as a result of alcohol-involved collisions. Yeah. Many of the people who volunteer with MAD are people who have lost someone dear to them. And it changes them forever. It really affects their life. Losing a child, losing a friend, losing a spouse, it's not something that's supposed to happen. And people now, after having suffered that loss, tend to give back. They tend to invest in trying to protect other people from suffering the same thing. And they do these education campaigns, and we're involved with that, and it's fantastic. And if you're going to drive sober. That's the big message. That's all what it's about. But if you see a red ribbon, that's someone who's committed to driving sober. And if you want red ribbons, you can probably pick them up in most stores and places. They have little places just like Poppies. Drop a quarter in, make a donation. But if you want a red ribbon or a pin like this, contact Matt. There are chapters all over the country. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Thank you, Chase, for the reminder. I had put a screen grabbed Instagram at the end of the show to saying that I would. Now, am I going to be able to? I'm going to mess with this. Hang on a second. I'm messing with my. You're very right, Chase. Okay, I'm sending this to myself. Here we go. I've interrupted my stream so I can text myself from my work phone. There we go. We're back on Instagram. Hopefully it's working again. Hi, Instagram. Okay. We'll talk about those. We'll even start with those. How about that? Okay. What do we have there? Chase, you're on the ball. I'm telling you, when we need an intern or something here, or we need to get you in the office. And then we'll get to Kiana, who has a question, and a question about the conference that's coming up next week. Yes. It is next week, right? Okay. So here was the question that came up. Michael VLZ on Instagram yesterday asked, what if you hit a person running a red light? Is there only tickets or charges too? If you hit a person running a red light, if you hit someone while you're running a red light, or you were driving properly and you were hit by someone who was running a red light, I guess we can talk about both. If you run a red light, and you obviously get a charge for red light fail to stop. If you hit someone as a result of that careless driving and you hurt someone, there's careless driving caused bodily harm. There's if you cause death, it's careless driving caused death. Yeah, serious charges. It's certainly not just a ticket. Yeah, it really depends. Is it criminal? It could be criminal if it was linked to other things that were criminal, like dangerous driving. Would take more than just running a red light. It would be a whole pattern of behavior that would be done. And then Michael wants to know fine point for radar detectors. Okay, so you're looking for how many points for possessing or using a radar detector? I for some reason I always want to say it's $170, but it's $180. I don't know why I have this just amazing connection to 170. Maybe I should start buying lottery tickets with some kind of like 17 is my number. Let's see here. Radar. Is it radar? Oh, it is 170. Why am I so connected to it? Because it is the right number. I used to think that it was 2 demerit points. It's 3. So it's $170 and 3 demerit points. There you go. I'm connected to the number because it's the actual answer. It's Wednesday, folks. Just a reminder, at 10:30, about 10:35, we're going to have the fine folks at News Talk 1010, the Jerry Agar Show, joining us. Looking forward to that. Always looking forward to that. Chase wants to know if careless driving caused death. Is that criminal charge or under the HTA? It's under the HTA. There are dangerous driving charges too, but the careless driving is an HTA charge with the addition of the cause death or cause bodily harm. What is the charge for shoplifting in Ontario? It's theft. It's theft under or theft over, depending on what the value of items. And the over or under is $5,000. And then finally, Saba wanted to know what's the difference between G2 and full G driver's license, like what limitations does a person have with a G2 license? And then we're up to date for yesterday's questions that I so horribly neglected on Instagram. So the deal is that a G2 and a G are almost identical, except you can't renew a G2. You have to retest again, taking the G2 test again. Retest again. You're a novice driver, so while you're a G2, you may not have any alcohol in your system, but you can't even have alcohol in your system as a G driver unless you're 22 years old or older with a G. Now, of course, then there's other limitations, but more than 0 at 22 years old. Many people get confused because the wording is terrible. It says over 21. Well, people say, well, I'm 21. I'm over 21. No, over 21 is 22. If you say 21 and over, it's 21. So if you are 21 thinking you can have more than 0, you are wrong. Don't do that because you will not enjoy the suspension for violating that novice and young. Is it novice, young person? Anyway, the condition. What else is there? G2 drivers in the first year are restricted as to how many people they can have in their vehicles with them under the age of 20 that are between midnight and 5 a.m. First 6 months you can have 1. Second 6 months you can have up to 3. Obviously you can have no more more people than seatbelts, but that's another story. What else can I tell you? Is there anything else for G2? I think that's it. I think that's it. All right. Stephen Bell, who says, good morning, Sean. I'm late, but you're here, and late is better than never. Okay. Question from Kiana, and this is a question I think we talked about it yesterday, but it is a regularly discussed question, and it is it illegal to change lanes in the middle of an intersection? It is not wise. It is not good. It is not safe. It is not illegal. Now, could it lead to a collision? Absolutely. And you'd be responsible for changing lanes in an intersection because you may cause that collision by way of your action, and you're responsible for whatever you do. But it's not against the law. It should be avoided whenever possible. All right, scrolling back, we've got, I can actually look at my phone. It's so good. I don't have to look over here. Is it easier to look over here? Okay, I don't know what it is. We have good morning. Oh, yeah. Is it Yaje Kim? We got, Yaje Waves. Too early forward. We got that already. JJ says, we talked about that. Okay, Connor says, hey, I got a question. Can I drive with LED strip lights on inside the car And the answer is generally yes, but why would you want to? Yeah, you can have interior lights on. It's not against the law. If they're messing with your ability to see, like you have bright light on inside the car, not exactly good. In the footwell is not a big deal, but if it's messing with your night vision, it could be a problem. Is it illegal specifically? No. Mateo Gallo wants to know, is it Gallo or Gallo? LL. Well, it depends. Depends on what language you're talking about. Anyway, let me know which way it is. So what happens if I get pulled over and don't have my driver's license with me? Well, you're eligible in Ontario for a ticket of $110 if you are unable to, or if you fail to surrender your license upon demand of a police officer. You have to surrender it. You have to have it with you. And could you go to court and fight it? You could. Could they withdraw it? They might. But you are guilty of not having it if you don't have it. That's just that. $110 no demerit points for that charge. All right. Jeff believes that they should change the wording from over 21 to 22 years of age. I don't disagree with you, sir. But I'm here to clarify things for those who may have misunderstood. And Michael follows up on that comment with saying, even a full licensed and 22 plus impaired control of a conveyance is still not a good idea and not fun. So many people don't understand that just if you're drunk in your car, if you're over the legal limit, or if you're under the influence of alcohol, even if you're not physically driving at the moment, you can be charged for operation. It used to be called care and control, but it is an operation situation where you are, driving or impaired operation related. Not good. Not a good look. Very expensive. Very, very expensive. All right, let's see what's going on here. We have a question from Dreamweaver. Morning, I have a question regarding commercial vehicles and something isn't safe if a seat can't be adjusted. Is it deemed not safe? Driver's seat, I mean. You mean like it's a fixed position and you can't make it safe for you? I don't know if having an adjustable seat is a requirement under the HTA anywhere. I'm not aware of any charge, but I'm not a commercial motor vehicle inspector. I've been on projects with them. I bring them the vehicle, an inspector inspects, and I write tickets based on their information, but I don't know if that's an issue. What I'll do is, let me see if I can go quickly. Make a note. I'll make a note. That's what we'll do, because Sergeant Campbell may join us, and he may know. Let's see here. So, commercial motor vehicle, seat isn't adjustable. Now, could it be unsafe? If you can't get into a safe vehicle driving position, you can't operate it because of your seating position, it's not safe? Yeah, and if you have to adjust yourself in a way that your seatbelt's not properly being worn, I can see there being issues. I just don't know if there's a clear route to charges or issues. Obviously, if you're being provided a commercial motor vehicle for use and it's not in a safe form and you don't feel safe driving it, I think the answer is simple. You don't drive it. Yeah. Good morning to Johnny Nguyen, who popped in at 22 after. Okay, let's go back into some questions. So, Nathan wants to know, hey, why does Ontario not mandate snow tires? Live in BC for 6 years, and now I'm back in Ontario. Why they don't? Probably because people here would complain. They would say, I don't want to spend money, and money is tight, I get it. Quebec does it, many places mandated, and insurance companies here motivate people by way of an insurance reduction because they know that if they give you a discount, you have a more likelihood of going off and getting those tires, and they know that it will reduce your risk, which is why they're willing to pay for it. Not your tires, but for a discount. They're willing to incentivize getting you stuff that will ultimately reduce their chances of having to pay out. I think it's a pretty good thing. I certainly use them. Okay, Momo, quick question. If I'm not using my phone and it's sitting in my lab, is that a ticket? If it's in your lap, L-A-P, they put lab, like Labrador. If it's in my Labrador, you're going to have a problem dialing. If it's in your lap, it is, according to courts. The court system has deemed it in use. They've seen that. A couple of reasons. One, if it's in your lap, you've just put it there because it's an unlikely storage place. Also, if you hit the brakes and it goes flying, you'll likely be responding, trying to find it. It is considered in use. So don't do that. Put it away all the way. Put it in a mount, put it in the glove box, put it outside of your reach. The Truth About Food wants to know, slippery ice conditions, decided not safe to brake, got red light ticket. Can I fight it because I'm broke? This is where it comes down. This is a regular discussion. I think it's a fantastic question. So people get red light tickets or get charged for running a red light, and they say, well, I didn't feel safe. If you didn't feel safe to brake, then you were driving at a speed that was unsafe for the road conditions, and you're responsible. A yellow light, an amber light, if you were to have felt unsafe braking and you were past the point of no return, there is an exemption or a permission to continue through if it's unsafe. But a red light has no option. There is no, I didn't feel good about things, so I just kept going. No, you're responsible for it. You can take responsibility. You're saying you're broke. You can ask for a payment plan. You can say, I'm broke. I can't afford it. Can you give me a reduced ticket? Like, I'm willing to take responsibility because I done messed up. But you can't just say, well, it was slippery, because, yeah, that doesn't work. What else can I tell you about that? Yeah, that means you got past. You were at a green going too fast. The yellow was there. You didn't. Yeah, I'm moving on. But you catch what I'm saying. At least I hope you do. Is it Fleeter Gal? Would you be quicker to pull over a left lane camper or someone passing that car on the right? Anyone going over the posted speed limit. So a left lane camper doing the speed limit is doing the speed limit. They're lawful as far as I'm concerned. The person who is tailgating, trying to go faster, that's the person I am personally going to ticket. Now, Sergeant Campbell might have a different opinion. The person who is now, I will say that a left lane camper doing 60 in a 100 zone, I got a problem with that. Unnecessary slow driving, you shouldn't be in that lane. But if you're doing the speed limit, that's the maximum speed in all lanes. And I would absolutely go after the person who's passing to the right and exceeding the posted speed limit. Okay. Apparently some comments in this live were filtered to protect community experience. Oh no, I wonder what people could be saying. Zachary Elford wants to know, is it illegal to pass a car in town limits, or is it legal as long as it's safe to do so? I don't know what you mean. Like, unless there's a law that says there's no passing permitted, I'm not aware of it being illegal to pass. Now, town limits? Yeah, I'd be curious to know where you is. I don't know why I'm speaking this way. My nose is itchy. Okay, let's see what's going on over here. But yeah, passing isn't prohibited unless there's signs saying no passing. Passing can be done if it's safe to do so, and you can't exceed the posted speed limit to do it, but you can pass. I'm opening a water bottle with one hand. Hey, I managed to do that without having it shoot everywhere. This is weird having my phone on, but it's easier to read this than to use the screen. Okay, we talked about this, LED strip lights inside the car. Samar Sidhu wants to know, I was moving province from Ontario to Alberta, and I got a ticket in Manitoba by a cop for speeding. Okay. They continue to say, I'm fighting it. My question is, when I change my license to Alberta, will it reflect it? You're still you. Interprovincial tickets likely will make it to that. You won't avoid it, is what I'm trying to say. It won't disappear. Let's see here. Connor and Woolski and people are having a side conversation. Cool. Please put a Q in front of your question on TikTok so I know it's a question, and that will make my life a little easier. Not impossible if you don't, but it's better if I see a Q, because then I know if you're not just having chats amongst yourselves. Okay. Alian Shabazz wants to know, if my license is suspended, is it illegal to drive on private property? So if you're suspended from driving on the road, suspended for like tickets or non-payment, you're not talking about a criminal decision to prohibit you from driving. It's a big difference. So if you are suspended for whatever reason, private property doesn't require a license. That wouldn't prevent you from driving. However, if you are disqualified through a criminal court or from the court process, that is different, and that would prevent you from being behind the wheel of a car. At least that's my understanding. If someone has a different opinion, I'm happy to hear it. Let's see here. Wolski wants to talk about underglow. Is it legal or not? So underglow is not specifically legal or illegal. It's not covered in the Highway Traffic Act. The problem is when you install underglow in such a way that you project light outwards, you may be violating other laws. So if it's projecting forward and I can see the bulb and I see the light at the front of the vehicle, that's illegal because you cannot project anything other than yellow or white to the front. And often I would say it's irregular or unlikely that people choose yellow as their underglow. Could be, because it would be legal if it was yellow. Now, to the rear, you cannot project anything other than yellow or red. So if you had purple, green, blue, all those colors, illegal. It depends. And it's not because the underglow is illegal. It's because your headlight laws and taillight laws are prohibiting that light from being projected. So to say that it's not, or that is or is not legal is a complicated situation. I will say this. It's not 1985. Underglow ain't that cool. And you should use it for private property and only private property, because that's just the way you should do it. You shouldn't do it when you're driving, regardless of whether or not you get a ticket. And then Dakota Bruce says, underglow is legal in Canada. What? Yeah. A lot of people have mixed understanding of the law. Is it Jabonga 007 says, why e-bike, e-scooter riding in the middle of the road? Is that legal? E-bikes and e-scooters are considered bicycles under the law if they conform to their respective requirements. So an e-bike can not be capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour, cannot have more than a 500-watt motor, not be more heavier than 120 kilos. 120 anyway, can't be more than 120 kilos, has to have functioning pedals. If it has those things, conforms to those things, it can be on the road. Now, it's a bicycle in that capacity, and if it can't maintain the speed of traffic, it must be to the right side of the lane, unless there's a reason, like there's debris or danger or risk to the rider, at which point they can take the whole lane for the period of time that there is that risk. So they can be in the road. They have that right to that lane, but there's conditions on everything. Now, if it's an e-bike that's being modified and is doing 40, 50, 60, anything over 32 kilometers an hour, it's not legal. I'm going to take a break from this question and come back because we've got News Talk 1010 who just jumped in. How you doing? Good morning.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's the sound?
Sounds great. Do we sound all right?
You sound all right too.
Excellent.
And to my audience, I'll ask, are they too loud? Are they too quiet? Are they good? Let me know. But we're good to go. At 5 after or 3 minutes from now?
Yep, 3 minutes from now.
Cool. I'm going to drop their audio a little bit because I hear that sometimes they're too hot. We'll see you then. So if you leave us in silence, whenever you pop in, we'll know that you're here.
Sounds good.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, so continuing along with the wonder and info about e-bikes. So yeah, e-bike that goes 33 kilometers an hour or faster, has more than a 500-watt motor. Well, that is a motorcycle. And if it was a plated and licensed and insured motorcycle, it could do whatever it could do. However, when it is, that won't be the case. So if it does 33 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, it's illegal. They're going to get charged for everything, and they can't be on the road at all. E-bikes, that's e-bikes. E-kick scooters, 24 kilometers an hour, and seats are the requirement. You cannot have seats on an e-kick scooter, and you cannot be capable of going more than 24 kilometers an hour. But same thing, they have to be the right side of the road if they're compliant, and they have to be in a place that's compliant. Toronto is not one of those places. We did not subscribe to the pilot project, therefore they are not permitted. And Johnny is making a comment that there was a slight echo. I think that was their control room monitor that we were hearing ourselves through with a slight delay. I don't think we'll have that issue when we speak to Jerry. Okay. Vulski says, I've been pulled over a few times because of their underglow, but they did their research and I didn't get a ticket. They called a supervisor. Then they said, not Ontario, wait. Read that wrong, my bad. It's funny, I love seeing this dialogue. Every province, every state's going to have different rules in regards to this. Some places may have a very specific underglow law, but it is not Canada-wide. It is very different in every province, and it's not about, like maybe the copper that was dealing with you said, I can't find a law against underglow. That's because there isn't one. It's the other laws that the underglow may encroach or fall into based on the way it's being used or installed. And there you go. Can I drive? This is Momo. Can I drive with G2 in highways 100 kilometers an hour? Momo, if you don't have your G2, then I would expect you not to know this. But if you have your G2, this is like the basics. G2 allows you to drive anywhere, interprovincially, on any road that is, legal. Private property may have some restrictions, you can't trespass, but you're allowed to drive anywhere, and you can go 100 kilometers an hour. Now, one thing that many people don't understand about the learner's permit or novice driver status is that there's escalating measures. In other words, if you are getting tickets and you have fewer points as a goal to hit before you get suspended. In fact, you get a suspension if you get a ticket with 4 demerit points or more. You will, on conviction, you get a 30-day suspension. On the second one, you're going to get a 90-day suspension. On the third one, you get kicked out of the licensing program. You have to start at a G1 again. So you do have risks. People really need to follow the rules. There are even bigger reasons, I guess, or at least higher consequences, those for learner's permit people, for G1, G2. Okay. If you're entering a 2-lane roundabout, can you make a left turn from a right lane?
You're listening to Jerry Agar.
Time for another visit with the TikTok traffic cop, Sean Shapiro of Traffic Services for the Toronto Police. And he's online every day answering traffic questions on TikTok at Traffic Services. And we took the opportunity some time ago to join in on the conversation every couple of weeks. Sean Shapiro, good morning.
Good morning, Jerry. Long time no talk.
Now, as often happens, when I tell John Moore that you're going to be on, he has a traffic question.
Of course.
All right. So this is a little segment we're going to call Educate the Morning Guy. So here's his question.
If somebody has a disabled parking ponquette or whatever they call it on their dashboard, can they park anywhere? In my neighborhood, they do. They park on the wrong side of the street. They park on Yonge Street where it's a no parking zone. They'll park anywhere.
The answer is simple. They can park anywhere that says no parking. They do have to follow some rules in terms of you can't be within 9 meters of an intersection. They can, with a accessible permit, park contraflow, so you can park with the left door to the curb, even if that means going the wrong direction. But they can't park in no stopping. They can't park in no standing.
Okay, well, that's more opportunity for people with the, what is it actually called? He called it a ponquette or something.
It's an accessible permit, and it's issued to the person that's named on it, so you can't use your friends, and it's only valid when the person it's issued to is in the vehicle. So if you're driving mom and mom gets one, you can park in an accessible permit space or in a no parking zone while they're in the vehicle. But if you were to drop them at the door, you would no longer be able to park with that benefit.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's more wide-ranging than I had anticipated. I thought the answer was going to be only where it says handicap parking, but I was wrong.
Well, there you go. It happens on occasion.
This is one of those occasions. All right. Here's a question that was sent in by text, and you can call us and talk to Sean at 416-872-1010, toll free 877-518-5151. On a 4-lane road, is it illegal for a driver to stay in the left-hand lane, forcing drivers to pass on the right?
So if you're going slower, than the speed limit, slower traffic should be to the right, especially if there's no other vehicles on the road. So they shouldn't be causing people to pass them on the right. Now, in most urban settings, it's not an issue. Everyone's going nowhere fast. But when you're talking about the highway in particular, the OPP will issue a ticket for someone who's doing 100 in the left lane, obscuring or obstructing traffic from people who are clearly breaking the law. So it's not something I would sooner ticket the person who is speeding rather than the person who is doing the speed limit. But, I understand the reason. You want the slower moving traffic to be in the right lane so that the speeders can get by without having to, make maneuvers to break the law.
Seems simple enough. If, in fact, some traffic is piling up behind you, if people are passing you on the right, you're in the wrong lane.
Absolutely. Regardless of what they're doing, you shouldn't be there.
Okay. Are parking enforcement officers allowed to park illegally when giving tickets?
Yes. When they're actively out there, they stop behind you. They're not expected to go for a 6-block walk to come back and give you a ticket. They can temporarily stop to engage in their duty.
Okay. I love this next question. Can I drive with no shoes on, like socks or barefoot?
So it's so funny. 2 questions that I grew up thinking were absolute law, and I was absolutely wrong about. My mom lied to me. I thought it was illegal to drive.
On occasion.
Yes, absolutely. I had to become a police officer to find out the truth. So the deal is that it is not illegal to drive barefoot. It's not suggested because when you smash that pedal in an emergency situation, it's funny. Your toes that bend, they can bend in the wrong direction, and it can really be painful, which could change the way that you drive. So it's always suggested to use proper footwear. I would even avoid flip-flops and sandals, things that can come off your feet and get stuck under pedals. But that's one side of it. If in the event that you're in a collision and you're trying to get out of the car, shoeless, and it's broken glass or chemicals on the road, other reasons to have shoes. The other thing is driving with the interior light on. I grew up thinking it was illegal. My mom always said, turn it off, we're going to get pulled over. But it's not actually illegal, and you can have the interior light on, even though it's not a good idea because it can mess with your night vision.
Yeah. Well, your mom's not a traffic cop.
This is true.
Yeah. Here is Daniel. Daniel,
Hi, how are you? Good morning.
go ahead.
So I just wanted to add also with regards to the handicap placard. So I take my dad to a lot of medical appointments. I also found out that you can park on the street on a green P parking, but you don't have to pay. However, in a green P lot, you do have to pay. So just wanted to add that. And also I wanted to ask you about merging into a solid lane, meaning like there's so much construction in Toronto now. And one example is on Avenue Road before Eglinton. It's all solid white lines because of the way traffic flows. But now there's construction, and you have to merge into the other lane. So I'm assuming that it wouldn't be illegal to merge into the other lane on the solid line, would it?
So in Ontario, it's one of the only provinces where it's not illegal to cross a white line.
Oh, I did not know that.
Well, now you do.
So even up north where you can't, where it's two lanes going north and south, and you can pass, like if there's no traffic on the bridge lines, you're telling me I could pass on the solid?
So here's the deal. A solid white or yellow line has no legal authority in the province of Ontario. If there's signage that says you can't pass, obviously you can't pass. If it's unsafe to do it, you're still going to you may cause a collision, and you're responsible for your actions. But there's no offense for crossing the line. And obviously in a situation where construction is preventing you from driving forward, unless you cross that line, even if it was the law, they can't paint you into a corner and just have you stop. So there'd be an exemption there.
All right, Daniel, thanks very much for your call. Going back to the handicap parking permit, somebody writes in, Sean, what's the snitch process for inappropriate use of an accessibility permit?
You could absolutely make reports. I imagine there is a unit specific to parking enforcement that has full-time people that go and police the abuse of these permits. So you can certainly report them. I don't know if there's an online form or not, but contacting parking enforcement would probably be a way to go. And what the caller was saying about parking, by the way, was absolutely correct. They can park for free on street parking and for green P, but not parking lots. Good thing to know. The other thing is you can lose the abuse of one of those passes will get it seized, and then you have to reapply and explain why you've done the wrong thing.
Yeah, I guess I could have obtained one of those when I first came out of the hospital with my knee surgery, correct?
You can get temporary ones issued by a doctor for a specific period of time. Otherwise, they're good for 5 years and they can be renewed. But it's all based on medical requirement, and the requirements are all over the place. It could be because you can't walk a certain distance, and I've even heard of them being issued for anxiety.
Okay, so somebody just writes in, can I take my 16-year-old to a private parking lot to teach him to drive? He hasn't taken any tests yet, not even the first written one.
So on private property, there is no requirement to have a driver's license. That doesn't mean that you can stunt drive, because you can still get a ticket for stunt driving on private property, even if you've never been licensed. But you could do that. Now, it would be a good idea to have permission of the property owner, because you could still be trespassed.
I'll never forget taking one of my sons to one of those lots on a Sunday when there was like literally nobody there. And I put the car in park, and I got out and I got in the passenger seat, and he got in the driver's seat. And I said, okay, push the brake and then put it in gear and then slowly let go of the brake. And he put it in drive, and he still had his foot on the brake. And this is what I'll never forget. He went, and I thought, I actually kind of like that attitude.
Having some respect or fear of driving is a good thing, because people don't want to accept the fact that driving is inherently dangerous. You're taking a big, heavy piece of machinery and you're going to propel it through, across the ground. You can do damage. So having some respect for it is a good idea.
All right, now some follow-up questions just came in to your discussion about crossing the white line, and people are asking, well, what about the white lines on the 401 that prevent you from merging, or does that include crossing the diamond lanes on the 404?
So the 404, the HOV lane has specific rules. They also have signage that says do not cross the line, and those signs have authority. Those are enforceable. When you're talking about the white lines at the side, which take you off the road, if you were to cross those, you're actually driving off the roadway, and it's different than the lines that take you from lane to lane. If you're driving onto the side bar or the shoulder or on a bullnose, you're actually doing the wrong thing, and you can be charged for that.
All right. How much longer are you going to be on TikTok today?
At least 15 or 20 minutes.
All right. Thanks very much for this.
Always a pleasure. Take care.
Yeah, Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop at Traffic Services, answering questions on TikTok. And every couple of weeks we dip in, and I'm always happy to have him. Coming up.
And Jerry is back to Jerry business, and we can get on to answering your traffic and police questions without anyone else, any other voices in my head. There you go. Chase wants to know, when is Kelly on next? I don't know. I've got to reach out to Kelly and figure. Usually we do Thursdays. My schedule's been a little interrupted recently, so we've gotten out of our regular routine, but we will certainly do that again soon. And just because you asked, I'll send a message saying that you wanted to know. Okay, Sin wants to know, my 90s, or says, I don't know if they want to know yet, my 93 Miata has super low coilovers, a loud exhaust, has mufflers but no cat because they weren't equipped with one, white LED turn signals, a bent license plate. What tickets will I get? Well, the super low could be an issue. If it's too low, it's unsafe. You might get your plates pulled for that. It depends on whether or not there's contact between the body and the tires and the tires and the frame. And if the suspension is rigid, it doesn't function at all because it's too low. And there is actually a minimum distance that your headlights can be from the road, so that is another situation. A loud exhaust could be unnecessary noise, which could happen as a result of an improper muffler system. If it's just creating unnecessary noise, it's against law, $110 for that. But if it's only that, you would at least keep your license plates. If the lack of catalytic converter, if it was never equipped with one, wouldn't be an issue. But if it was issued, then you need to have one. Depends on the requirements. And I would think that a catalytic converter would have been required, but 93, I think cats were mandatory. I could be wrong. I'm not a Miata Pro. You are. Let's see here. White LED turn signals. Well, turn signals can only be amber or red. You can't have, at least in the front, they have to be amber. In the back, they can be amber or red. You can only project white or yellow to the front. You can only project amber or red to the rear. So that would be a ticket, $110 for having white light being projected backwards. A bent license rear plate. I don't know why you would bend a license plate on a car. Motorcycle people do it to avoid detection and identification, but bending a rear plate on a car would likely get you a $110 ticket for that. Hopefully I've answered all your questions, but now I want to know more about your car. So let's see here. We got Adyan says hello. Hello back to you. They have a question that we'll get to in a second. Similian says, hi, Sean. Talk about traffic agent program, what peds and motorists need to know. We can do that. I need a sip of water first. And before I answer that question, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. We go live weekdays from 10 to 11 usually, sometimes closer to 12 because I can tend to go long. And that's okay. We want to take care of you. That's why we're here. Today will be, is it the last show of the week? No. We are going to try and do a show Friday, but tomorrow the studio is being renovated. That's why it looks incredibly clean behind me, because everything in this room has to be removed so that they can come in and do some installations tomorrow, and then it'll be moving back in. Hopefully I can get everything back in for Friday, and then we'll do our Friday show. But we'll see. You stay tuned. If you'd like to get notifications to confirm whether or not we are going live, well, you can do that by going to @Traffic Services on the Twitter. Yeah. You can also follow me on VoiceOver Cop, which I posted there too. In fact, I posted there and I retweeted with Traffic Services. So follow me on VoiceOver Cop because I'm VoiceOver Cop on pretty much all of the platforms. Yeah, so many places to post. So talking about the traffic agent program, what pedestrians and motorists need to know. Well, first of all, they're special constables. They have authority to direct traffic, and if you don't listen to them, you can be charged. The police can come after you and charge you for your violations. They do have the authority to do it. They're there to keep traffic flowing, and they're good at what they do. It is true. I don't know what else you want me to tell people about them, but it is. You should tell me what you want me to tell you, because I don't know what else you want to tell me. Yeah. Okay. Adyan wants to know a question over the Toronto Police vehicle fleet. Does Toronto Police still use Crown Victorias or Ford Taurus? Thank you. The answer is I don't think we have any Crown Vics other than one that is being reserved as part of our historic fleet. So we'll bring it out to car shows. I think we had that on Honda Indy this year. Then there is the Ford Tauruses. We have them left over in our fleet being used by paid duty cars. That's what they call them. There are a fleet of vehicles that are kept for doing specific details where third parties are hiring the Toronto Police Service to perform certain functions, whether it be funeral escorts or construction, traffic direction. So those cars are still in the fleet, but they're being phased out. So we won't be buying any more of them because they don't make them anymore. But we have a couple left. Everything now, any new purchase of a vehicle is likely going to be a Ford Explorer. I don't know, the transmission things. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So Sin follows up with the statement about their car. I bend the plate because my subwoofer makes it rattle, and because the car is so low, it can't be seen on the 407. So I made sure to bend it so it caught the camera. That sounds like a very reasonable thing to do. Could it not, if it was bent in such a way that a police officer thought you were trying to avoid, they could lay the charge, and then you have to explain that in court. But I actually think that makes a lot of sense to ensure that you can be detected. Bending it to avoid detection is a big problem. Johnny says, use Dynamat. Yes, vibration control is a big deal. I have seen cars that make more noise rattling than their speakers do. Here is a follow-up question, which is really good. They say their car is registered as white, but I've wrapped it in blue about a month ago. Do I have to change it at Service Ontario? Yes, you do. You have 6 days to do it, so you're a little behind the gun. You got to go do it. $110 fine for failing to apply for a change. And I'm surprised you're not getting pulled over more, because when we run a license plate, and if your car is a heat score like it sounds like it is, running your plate, having it come back white where it is blue means I'd be pulling over to talk to you. Let's see here. Oh, okay. That S60 guy. We talked about this already. So yes, light strips inside your car, you can. I wouldn't, just because it messes with your night vision, especially at night. Daytime doesn't really matter. Okay, let's see what's happening on TikTok. My left turn signal needs wire replacement, but my mirror blinks when signaling. Is that acceptable? The rear signal, I've had this argument before with myself, because I've thought about this. I've had my rear light burn out. I was having an issue where incandescent bulbs kept failing, so I put LEDs in, and I haven't had a problem since. However, I would have a bulb fail, and until I could get it, am I technically signaling? It's arguable that you are, but it's also arguable that you're not. So you could get a charge. I don't think it's definitive. I think your signals are intended to be at the rear. They should be discernible at 150 meters. And I think that a police officer would argue that the ones on your mirrors are not. Now, I will now flip the script and say I could argue the other way too, because in place of your signal, a hand signal is legitimate. That hand signal comes out of your window at roughly where your side mirror is. If your signal is your hand and that's acceptable, I think the signal, which is your light, would also be. But you can see how this argument that I've just had here live for you to experience, this is how I sort of go through all the things that I talk about, because I like to stress test my advice and my decisions and my interpretations, and that's sort of where I'm at. It would be very hard to be convicted in court, I think, of not having a proper signal in that situation. But consider LEDs. They last a long time. Good LEDs. Follow up from Sin. I'm being told that I shouldn't have to change the color at Service Ontario as long as it's wrapped. You would be incorrect, or the person who gave you that advice was wrong. You absolutely have to change it. If the majority, if it's a significant change to the color, think of it as a very wide pinstripe. Yeah, you have to change it, and it's free, and you can change it back and forth. It's not a big deal, but you're going to prevent yourself from being pulled over a lot, and of course, prevent yourself from getting tickets. Oh, we actually have a message coming in from Instagram. Noah Mortimer, you look familiar. Let's see here. So long time no see, and if you're new, welcome. Their question is, are you allowed to stop after a stop sign in order to see around an obstacle without entering the perpendicular roadway? I like the way you asked the question. And the answer is yes. You have to stop at the appropriate place at the stop sign. After coming to a complete stop, you can then proceed to the edge of roadway so that you can actually have a clear view of what you're about to do. It is a safety-conscious thing to do, and thanks for asking the question. TJ says, hey, Daddy. I'm pretty sure I'm not your daddy. I know for whom I am daddy. Angie says, my phone fell from the dashboard underneath my foot. I drive standard. I picked it up and got a ticket. Yes, you cannot. You cannot touch your phone. Now, I could see where you would think it's an innocent thing, pulling over being legally parked to fetch your phone is the appropriate thing. Securely fastening your vehicle to your car is a good thing. But if it's in your hand, you are absolutely eligible for a ticket. Could you go to court and explain that away? You've technically committed the offense by holding it. That's considered use. So if you said, I was only holding it for a second, you've committed the act of using it. It doesn't even have to have a functioning battery. If you have your cell phone dead as a doornail in your hand, you have committed an offense. Okay. We have a question that is a school-related question from Mad Yen. Another question for a school project of mine is over Toronto Police equipment in terms of what firearms are constables allowed to carry and the ammunition. There's a number. So I won't get into specialty units, but generally speaking, the Toronto Police are issued Glock 22s, which are 40 caliber Smith & Wesson chambered Glocks. You can look those up. So that's what they carry, Glock 22s, which are chambered in 40 cal. Long time ago, we had 38 caliber revolvers. And just for interest's sake, our tactical units carry Glock 17s, which are chambered in 9mm. Let's see here. Boop-a-doo. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. 5-minute warning. Thank you, Akela. At 11 o'clock, we're not going to take new questions, but if you've asked questions, I'm going to try and get to them. I do have a phone call shortly after 11, so I can't stay long. And I really appreciate all of you. Thanks for popping in and supporting the show and being here and asking questions and making it all happen. Because if you didn't ask questions, I'd be talking to myself. Even though sometimes it feels like it. Okay, I'm talking to myself because very rarely does anybody answer. Jerry Agar answers sometimes, you know. All right. Diego says, the only way I see it being good is if you're trying to avoid a collision and can do it safely. What are we talking about? I don't know what that is. Nope, don't understand what it is. Out of context. Bradley Chimey says, LED lights in car in Manitoba, you can't have them there. It's illegal. Interesting. Okay. I wonder why an LED light would not be legal, but a incandescent bulb would be legal. Interesting. Truth About Food wants to know, penalty for red light camera ticket. Penalty? Red light camera, I think it's $240. Am I right? Or is it $360? You know how I'm going to find out? I'm going to look it up. Sometimes the dollar amounts, I don't remember them. Okay, let's see here. Red light. Red light vehicle failed to, rules of the road. Yeah, red light vehicle owner fails to stop pursuant to section 207, 325. No demerit points for that because it's a red light camera. Okay. We got here. What is the difference between the RCMP, OPP? Do they have different regulations? That's a Bradley question. It's a totally different police service. So we're municipal police, although we have the same powers as provincial police. We are paid to police Toronto. Can we police anywhere? Well, we have the authority to police anywhere in Ontario, but we focus our efforts here because we're paid by here. RCMP are federal police. They can police anywhere in Canada, whereas but they don't do the same thing in Ontario. See, RCMP in BC might do local policing, but here they do like VIP stuff for the government persons, and even OPP. Like they do municipal policing in smaller communities through contract. Okay, I got to scroll back. I jumped a whole bunch of stuff. I wasn't planned. I was not planning for that. No, I don't want to respond. Can I get a red light ticket on a bicycle? No, you can't. What is this? Noah Michael of TikTok says, great live. Thank you, Noah. Do you think OPP dispatcher is a good way to start or other option? Let's talk very quickly about employment. So yes, dispatcher is a great option, but it is very much a career on its own. I don't think someone gets into the policing by way of going into dispatching, but many people have. I think that applying to be a police officer, if you can meet the minimum requirements today, go be a police officer. Parking enforcement officers, many of them start out as police officers. Police officers start out as parking officers. I started out as a court officer and an auxiliary constable. It doesn't matter where you start as long as you end where you want to be. But if you can apply and pass all the requirements today for police officer, I would say just go where you want to be. Let's see here. We got all the information about becoming a police officer here. This is tps.ca/careers. Where can I put that on screen? I left it right there. That's where I left it. There you go. That's the website. And if you were looking for a civilian role, a new one has popped onto the board. Come on. I'm clicking. Why are you not responding? We're not frozen, other than the website not listening to me. There we go. Talent Acquisition Advisor. Auxiliary volunteer. Obviously, there is no pay. It's a volunteer position, but that's what I really started as. My goodness, we're coming up on 24 years ago when I started as an auxiliary. Systems analyst and communications operator. Yeah. By the way, best volunteer opportunity in the world, as far as I'm concerned, is volunteering with your local police department. I think that is a great way to experience your world differently. You want to find out what it's like to be a police officer? You want to tip your toe in before making the commitment? Auxiliary constable is a good way. You'll find out how people treat you when you put on a uniform. Suddenly, you're either a great guy or a bad guy, or a know everything person. You think I know stuff because I wanted to know this stuff? No. As soon as I put on an auxiliary uniform, I was determined to know everything. Everyone asked the questions. I figured I probably had to read something so I would know stuff. And it sort of started my whole lifelong obsession with understanding the Highway Traffic Act, because I was an auxiliary at Traffic Services. I rode a motorcycle as an auxiliary. Can you believe that? But I was having so much fun as an auxiliary, I very quickly became a court officer because there was a hiring freeze for police constables. So I took what was available, and that was court officer. And it was a fantastic experience too. That is the equivalent now of what special constable is. They have special constable generalists that do a lot of different things. One of the duties happens to be courts, whereas that was not an option then. Automotive Addiction says, I disable my anti-lock brakes. I don't feel safe with them over normal brakes. You have drove both? Yeah, well, there's a button to turn it off. Do I like driving with or without? The idea of anti-lock brakes is to allow someone who does not have the skill to threshold brake properly. In a stressful situation, threshold braking sometimes becomes a full lockup. A lockup doesn't allow you to steer while the tires are not moving. So anti-lock brakes allow you to steer through. It takes longer to stop with anti-lock than it does with a lockup. So I understand where skilled drivers don't like it. But the average driver might be less skilled than they may think they are. That's a controversial conversation. Hello. Controversial? Yes. What do we got that's controversial? We have a user who, let's see here. We have a viewer who says that they disabled their anti-lock braking system because they prefer it that way. So I was discussing the fact that anti-lock, I'm gonna block this person and hope that it doesn't crash the systems, just because they're. I was gonna say doofus. I don't even know if doofus is something I shouldn't be saying, but that they were a doofus.
Is it somebody we don't want to talk to?
Not anymore. I blocked them.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think I think doofus is a safe word.
I don't know what
I've now said it 7
doofus actually
times.
means.
I don't know what it means either, but
Let's figure that out first.
all right.
Disabling your anti-lock braking system.
They pressed the button. They turned off their anti-lock.
Yep.
I think you can do that. Or I'm thinking traction control. Maybe you can't turn off your anti-lock. They disabled it though.
I had a car. I'm going back into the very early 90s. It was a Chevy Cavalier back in the early 90s, and it was the first generation of ABS.
It was not good ABS.
It cycled so slowly that anything with a little bit of snow on it, it would just continue. You'd just continue driving forever. It would just keep going and going and going and going, locking, releasing, and
But you could steer.
I had to do the same thing. It was those generation ones really didn't work. Well, it did on dry roads.
When they weren't activated. Cynthia wants to know, please, what is this about? Well, Cynthia, this is the Toronto Police Traffic Services live stream called Ask a Traffic Cop, where we talk about traffic and police questions, answering your questions so you can be safer on the road, so you can avoid tickets by following the law. That is the simple answer.
Yeah, it's your opportunity to ask anything you want to do with policing. We focus on traffic law, because we are from traffic services, but we're also police officers.
All show for a full hour. TikTok link has not linked through. The questions did not come on screen,
What is going on with TikTok?
but now it is working. It's actually the restream. Deborah wants to know why I blocked him. The person was making sexual comments on another platform on Kick. So as a result, it's not the place for that.
No, not at all.
David says you can disable your ABS by pulling the fuse. Pulled mine and an old Cavalier as well.
There you go.
And further says they were terrible in the snow. 90s.
Yep, they were. They had a big engine. It was a 3.1 V6, which was pretty good for the time. Mine was a 5-speed.
5-speed good.
It went pretty good.
Any advice for the recruitment process?
Be the best person you can be, because that's who we're looking for.
Yes, and not be a temporary good version. A lot of people put on an act. They start driving nicely. They start volunteering, all very quickly, in relation to their application process. Oddly enough, we see that for what it is. If you just started volunteering for the first time in your life, you're probably not a volunteer. You're probably just trying to tick a box. And while we appreciate that you're trying, we're really looking for someone who's giving back to the community already.
Yep, committed.
It's been doing it for a while. So if you're thinking about, becoming a member of the Toronto Police or a police service anywhere, maybe you start thinking about volunteering well in advance of applying.
And think about the bigger picture as well. Make yourself the best person you can make yourself, because that's what we're looking for. And whatever background you bring with it, it doesn't have to be, I went to college, I went to law and security, because a lot of the stuff you're going to be taught when you come here, whether as a civilian or a police officer. So a diverse background is fantastic. Languages are fantastic.
Yeah, totally. We are constantly. You were looking for a French-speaking officer yesterday. Very often, we're looking for people from all walks of life and all different experiences, because we have people who live in our city who have all different experiences and languages, and so knowledge is power. It's great to have different diverse backgrounds. And if you are a mechanic, oddly enough, we have a bunch of mechanics. They work in the commercial motor vehicle section now, or actually not all of them do, but many of them do. We have different skills and abilities that make our police service better, and those skills and abilities are yours, and you bring them to us to make us better. So it's it's good stuff. Like I knew how to use a camera and a computer. I'd worked in the computer industry before. I use a lot of computers now. That really helped me. I didn't go
And
to
cameras?
Yeah, and cameras too. So that's it. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out or our live stream paused. Let's see here. So a question that was asked early on the show, and I said I would hold it and hope that you would be here. There was a question that was asked, and the question was, if I have a commercial motor vehicle and it has a seat that will not adjust, I cannot change the seating position, is it an unsafe motor vehicle? And I'm assuming it's a situation where the boss gives you the keys to a truck and you can't move the seat to a comfortable or a safe position. Is that a vehicle you should be driving?
So is it an unsafe motor vehicle? No, because somebody else could get in there and operate it safely, as long as they can control all the pedals. Should you be operating it if you cannot sit in there properly? No, absolutely not.
So would that qualify? Like if you were driving that vehicle, you were totally unable to sit safely or comfortably, and you were squished or not sitting properly in your seat, could you be carelessly driving that vehicle?
Or dangerously.
Or not wearing your seatbelt in accordance to the law?
What if you can't hit the brakes?
Yeah.
And you can't hit the brakes.
So you made a conscious decision to do it anyway.
Yep.
That puts you in a liability situation. I'm glad we talked about this. It's pretty much where I was at, suggesting it's not a good, you shouldn't be driving it.
Right. Yeah. That in itself, I don't think constitutes an unsafe motor vehicle.
No, I agree with you.
But the combination of different factors,
if you look at old school, like 50s vehicles, I remember getting into some pickup trucks. They were like, they didn't move. Like maybe you had 3 notches, and if that didn't work, so yeah, some people sat on pillows to get closer. Like there were things that people did.
Yep.
But not all of those had seatbelts, and I think you'd be improperly wearing your seatbelt if you had a ton of pillows surrounding you. Just maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yep.
I put decorative lights on my semi truck. Is it required by law to have them working all the time?
Decorative lights.
So marker lights, like ambers, to help paint the line of the, or to mark the side of the vehicle. There are some that are required. Some of them that are optional may not be.
Yeah, depending on the width of your vehicle, your semi truck, you need the ember lights in the middle, the cab lights, because it's an over width. You know the lights that go over top of the windshield. You see them across there. They are required.
Okay.
I saw a car the other day. They had 2 lit, red colored candy canes.
Oh,
across the front grill, casting a red light to the front.
yeah.
No.
Not allowed to have red light to the front. I can't imagine someone though having an issue with candy canes temporarily, very briefly.
As long as they're secured properly, turn off the red light, you're good.
Do you know what I did see? And I'm tempted to order these online. I found them on that Ali something website. They were reflective metallic, magnetic reflective ornaments and lights so they weren't illuminated, but when you hit them with light, they were a string of Christmas lights, and they would reflect in the appropriate colors. I thought that was kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
I might have to order some.
That is kind of cool.
Will I get in trouble if I skip school? Truancy. Are you required to attend school? I know nothing about the truancy laws here. I assume you're going to get in trouble.
Well, you're going to miss school.
That's a problem.
So yes, there were truancy laws on the books. I don't know if they're still active or valid.
Well,
right now.
if parents do not send their kids to school, I would think that there are some issues there.
Yeah, but they can be homeschooled
It's true.
as long as they follow the proper curriculum. So they don't actually have to send them to a school.
Physically, but they have to be getting education somewhere. I honestly don't know, not my area, but it is interesting to converse about it. I think in the States that you get arrested or get picked up and taken home.
Yep, I do believe. And I think probably back in the olden days here, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have truancy officers around here.
Wonder what color hat they wore. Extra sauce. If I send you a link a day, what is this? If I send you a link a day broadcasting updates while driving, would you do anything? Well, if you're broadcasting while driving, you might be using your phone. You might be eligible for tickets, so you shouldn't be doing that. But what are you talking about? Send us
If I send you a link of a day broadcasting updates. While
Oh,
driving.
it's not link a day. It's link of a day.
Link of a day, yeah.
So I don't really, other than the fact that I misread your sentence, I don't really know what you're talking about, but you can feel free to go to trafficcop.ca and submit a question to me and explain to me what you're talking about. I'm so excited that this is something working, even though we got to go and say goodbye.
Yep, I'm leaving in 3 minutes.
Okay, we'll do this for 3 minutes, then we'll say goodbye. Is it not easy to be, it's not easy to be OPP this day online, test crazy, why you make it so difficult? I'm not with the OPP, nor is the good sergeant next to me. We are with the Toronto Police Service. Online test? I'm not familiar with any online test. Is there an online test?
I don't know.
Maybe there
Probably
is.
the application test or the...
If the application form is difficult, we got problems. But you know what? Talk to a recruiting officer. That's the big thing. They are there to help you.
Yep. And you know what? Sometimes being a police officer is difficult.
It's not an easy job.
And you have to read and understand many things, including the laws, and be able to apply them. So when you're doing a test, that may be one way to see your thinking process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything in the process is there to challenge you. You have to overcome. You have to work hard. And if it's hard and you haven't even applied or haven't even met the requirements, maybe
make yourself better, and then come back, try again.
That's actually great advice. Is it illegal to drive with my dog on my lap?
Yes.
It is illegal to drive with your dog on your lap. In fact, they should be in the back seat, either crated or tethered for their safety and yours. You don't want a furry projectile in your car, but it is obscuring your ability or interfering with your ability to safely operate your vehicle, so not okay.
And Sean would say that's a drive well crowded, and I would say it's a careless.
I would say it's both.
And I would say it's kind of ignorant, because if something was to happen, even if it wasn't you that were doing it, when your airbag deploys, it is actually going to really, really, really injure your dog.
Yeah, you'll become one, and their bony bits will become part of you. It's a mess. You're looking to kill them. Yep. Confidence 613 says cops drive with computers in front of them while driving. It's exempt for them. Hypocrites.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You're absolutely right. But here's the difference. One, we're the only ones that have the exemption. Police, fire, ambulance, those people have the exemption for using communications tools that are absolutely required for our job, for public and officer safety. If we're the only ones doing it, we've reduced risk. Problem is everyone's doing it. There's a lot of risk. We try and reduce our use of it until it's absolutely necessary. But if we can't access information, we're not doing our jobs. We're not protecting and enforcing rules. So there are justifications, and it's acknowledged that it's dangerous. We make a calculated risk based on safety.
And on top of that, the result of us not operating correctly while we're driving a motor vehicle, our police vehicle, we're held to two standards. First of all, the Highway Traffic Act standards, and on top of it, the Police Services Act standards. So not only can we get charged for it, but we can get charged under the Police Services Act for it as well. So we take that ability very seriously when we're operating a car, because there's an awful lot of penalty if we don't take it seriously and we get into a crash.
But equally, like we need to get information. So there's the use. If we do something wrong, we're going to be questioned. We're going to be wearing body cameras. We're wearing we have cameras in the car. We're wearing microphones. Everything we do is critiqued. We're responsible to everyone. We're the most. I think the most. What's the word I'm looking for?
Critiqued.
There was another word I was looking for.
Most watched. Most.
Yeah, we'll go watched. But there was another word for it. And it's going to come to me tomorrow after I. Yeah. But either way, we're responsible to everybody. We are going to scrutinize. That's the word I was looking for.
There you go.
Yes. Do TPS mechanics work out of Nine Hannah, or do you have contracted shops? We have actually a number of garages and many mechanics who work for the service.
Yeah.
But I don't imagine. There are certain things that we don't do, like warranty work. I think that's sent out to. I don't think we do warranty work. Do we do warranty work?
We don't. We have licensed mechanics that work on cars. If it is warranty work, it has to go back to the dealer. There's a process in place to disable the emergency equipment and the radios and the computers when it goes out to a private shop for that to be done. But other than that, yeah, we look after everything. We have motorcycle mechanics. We have marine mechanics because we have boats as well. Yeah, good guys. They keep us moving.
Yeah, you know, all of the civilians in the Toronto Police Service and services across Canada and all over, they make it possible for police officers to go and do police work. Yeah. If it wasn't for them, we would be not going anywhere fast.
Everything would be broken.
That's it.
We'd be walking.
Mark the tech guy says, I'd love to be part of the drone department as I'm a drone pilot.
We have those too.
We do have those too. And most of them are police officers who have been trained. I'm sure that other services may use civilians for that as well. It's great stuff. I love drones. Drones are fun.
Yep, we use drones for a number of things, including collision investigations.
Absolutely.
We can map a scene very, very quickly with a drone.
Jack says, I'm about to obtain my police foundations diploma. Does that assist me much in the hire process? Education is good. It doesn't have to be that, but it is definitely whatever area you do, as long that you focus on, is good as long as you have applied yourself, and you've obviously, if you're getting your diploma, you've done well, you've succeeded, and that will help you in your process.
You know what? You're going to relearn all this stuff over again. You've had the precursor to going to the Ontario Police College, which I would imagine is going to assist you to graduate from the Ontario Police College much easier.
Plate covers.
Answer?
Not legal.
My answer is no.
Yeah.
Clear, colored, the dealer installed ones, anything, no. Understand. I get you. I know why you want to protect them. They aren't made very well. They peel, all those things. But it's not your plate. It's the ministry's plate, and you can get new ones. But covers of any sort, no.
Rona heard me on the radio, or either heard me here or on the radio saying that my mom lied to me saying that it was illegal to have your interior lights on while you're driving. And they responded with a link explaining that in other places, like Quebec, they would, in fact, be against the law to have your interior lights on. Which is interesting. I remember putting a video on TikTok years ago, and people across the states were, like, it went viral. Because interior lights, oh my God, my mother lied to me. But I think that so much of what we believe is law is based on American television.
Yep.
And of course, or living in Quebec.
Driving barefoot.
Yep.
That's another one.
We talked about it on the radio today. That's what one of the callers came in. So it's not legal. It's not illegal here, but it could be illegal elsewhere. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Do you think you could be a cop in Australia? I've never thought about it. At one point you could actually apply to be as a Canadian. I think they were accepting.
Really?
You don't have to be a citizen in order to be a police officer there. I used to watch a television show called Water Rats about the Australian water police.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was neat.
You know what? I'd be lonely there because my family wouldn't come visit me because they have like big spiders and snakes. And
There is that.
yeah.
Okay. I
Right.
would love to continue answering these questions, and there's so many that have come up, especially because the link is now working. Sadly, I got to go because I have a phone call that I'm scheduled to make. So I'm out of here. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, drive sober, and park legally. We'll see you again, not tomorrow, but hopefully Friday when the studio's finished its renovation.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I just had to respond to this question. The question was, what if I get caught driving with parking-only insurance? Like you have a vehicle that is stored and you have it insured for theft. Well, if you get caught parking or driving with it under the storage insurance, it's driving without insurance. $5,000 to $25,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail. Yeah, it's not okay. I've laid that charge against someone who did exactly that. They said, oh, yeah, I called my insurance company. I put the insurance back on. They lied. Insurance companies actually record that stuff, like actually record your conversation of you saying, I want insurance. And just getting a quote doesn't count either because very often people give me insurance quotes and say, I have insurance. Look at this quote. Anyway, dad jokes. Thank you, Tracy, for reminding me, as I had already said goodbye, but hello again. Dad joke for Tuesday that I didn't read then either. Word of advice, don't make trust atoms. They make up everything. Oh, sorry, don't make. It's don't trust atoms. They make up everything. I'm telling you, I'm adding words that don't exist in sentences that I've not properly read. Today's joke for the 22nd, that's today. How do trees access the internet? This is actually good. They log on. And I'll read tomorrow since we won't be here, since the studio will be a mess. What's the most popular food at the kids' table at Thanksgiving? This is terrible. The crayon berry sauce? That's junk. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Again, thanks for being here and making the show what it is, because if not for you, there wouldn't be a show.